And that's what would be referred to as best practice.
Hello, Strategic Selling Group, all my Talking Sales viewers and followers. Really great to have you back, and I'm delighted to have Adam Gray with me again.
Hi, John.
How are you, Adam?
Yes, splendid, thank you. Splendid.
Enjoying Sydney?
Enjoying Sydney, enjoying our chats. Enjoying Australia. Great. Great.
With this weather and everything, why do you live in London?
I'm asking myself that very same question, mate.
Okay. Hey, we better talk business, I guess. One of the things that was crossing my mind in the last few discussions when we're talking about social, and the great discussion, great input, great insight, thank you. And if I was a CEO out there or a sales leader, I'd say to you, we're investing all this time in social, how do you measure the outcomes? How do you know it's creating what you need to create?
That's a really good point, and we're very hot on encouraging our clients and the people that we help to measure the things that are measurable around their social presence. Now, clearly, the ultimate goal is to measure an increase in revenue, and before that comes an increase in pipeline. But there may be a long journey between now and getting those things, depending on what it is you're selling and the buy cycle and the time involved in that. So generally, we find that it falls into four main areas.
Okay.
So first of all, there is the what you do.
Mm-hmm.
So improving your profile, engaging with people, posting content, growing your network, those things that are actions that you take.
I mean, LinkedIn provide the social selling index. It sounds like it's similar to the four you've just outlined.
That is in itself a measurement criteria. So step one is the actions that you take. Step two is what happens as a result of those actions. So that will be an increase in your social selling index, an increase in your clout score if you're on Twitter as well. Showing up in more searches, having more people view your profile, being out there and engaging with more people, you'll see more conversations coming in and that kind of thing. So that's the second phase, which in itself is not a value thing, but it's a benchmark or a signpost that you're heading in the right direction.
And I want to emphasise it's not really a value thing, because I've seen a lot of people with a very high social selling index on LinkedIn and still don't sell a thing.
Yeah, it's laughable. And obviously, if you're not engaging your network, it doesn't matter if there's 50,000 people in your network. If they're not listening to you speak, there's no point in having a 50,000 network.
It goes back to what we talked about earlier. If you can't sell, it doesn't matter if you're doing a lot on social.
Absolutely.
But if you can sell, social's going to help really drive your sales.
So you've got what you do, you've got what you get back from that, and then you've got the things which are kind of inbound type things. People emailing you, asking for information and inquiries, people reaching out to you, people connecting with you, where it starts to develop its own momentum, if you like, and its own propulsion. And from that you'll see inbound, you get speaking opportunities, you'll get RFQs and RFPs, you'll get your network will be growing of its own accord, and then the last stage is pipeline and revenue. You know, when people are starting to make that connection and they're saying, you're the person that I want to be doing business with, and then you're starting to forecast that and ultimately close that business. But the other things are steps up to that point. And clearly, with a 12-month buy cycle, you need to know 3 weeks in whether or not the things you're doing are likely to be delivering on that ultimate 12-month vision.
That's right.
So we need to measure those things first on that step and that journey.
We need to know that we're not wasting our time now and not getting the results
Absolutely
later.
right, because I think that one of the mistakes that we so often make is that we think that because I've written a good article, everyone else is going to think that's a good article as well, and it doesn't work that way. You know, it doesn't matter if you like it, it matters whether you, the audience, like it.
At the same time, I've seen some people who have written brilliant articles, but nobody reads them.
Absolutely. So they're not brilliant articles. That would be my contention.
Well, my other contention is they put a brilliant article out in their LinkedIn profile, but nobody knows they've done it.
Absolutely. But all things being equal, the audience and their reaction to what it is that you do is the determining factor about whether or not you're doing it right.
Well, the point I guess I'm trying to make is you need a balanced strategy that's covering all aspects of your social strategy.
Absolutely.
If you haven't not building followers, there's not much point writing content because nobody's going to read it.
Yeah, and if nobody's noticing you when you post stuff, again, you're invisible. So there are various kind of techniques and strategies that we have to elevate you from the point of being just another person in that endless list of content and publishers to being the person that you notice.
So it is important to measure the number of people who are connecting with you, or the number of people who are connected with in your target audience. It is important to measure how many people are reading your articles. It is important to measure things like how much engagement am I getting in discussion and comments on articles, things like that.
Yeah, and you want to create as much leverage around that as you possibly can. So if you write an article and John leaves a comment on it saying, yeah, that was a really great article, thank you very much indeed. If somebody says that to you in the real world, you say, thank you. So actually say thank you against that comment. And it may seem a bit trite, but you need to remember that if I publish an article, everybody in my audience has a chance of seeing that article. If you comment on that, everybody in my audience gets a chance to see that you've commented on it, and everybody in your audience gets to see that you've commented on it. So if I then thank you, everybody in my audience and your audience gets to see that I thank you for the comment. So it's just repurposing that content back out again and again and again to maximise the number of views that people get of that.
So that's taken beyond the just measuring, but it's part of the behaviour we talked earlier on.
Absolutely,
and I
right.
totally agree. One of the things I found is when I religiously answer any comment, even if it's just great or something, I'll answer it.
And that's what would be referred to as best practice. There's no such thing as best practice in this area because it's too new. But what you're doing is currently held to be best
The other
practice.
thing I would recommend, because it's worked brilliantly for me, is then say, ask a question. So you like that, and what did you like about it? Or if they commented and said, I really like this area, again, what did you like about it? I'd be very interested in your views. And you start a dialogue.
Yeah.
Particularly if it's somebody you'd like to have a dialogue with.
Absolutely right.
Okay, measurement is vital. It's like anything
Crucial.
any strategy we implement in any area, we've got to measure and monitor our progress towards our ultimate goals.
Absolutely right.
Great subject, and we could talk about measurement forever. I think there's lots and lots of different things. Obviously, don't measure too many things. Decide what the key things are that will measure your leading and lagging indicators moving towards your ultimate goal.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you very much, Adam. Thank you to
John.
the audience. Hey, when we publish this, give us your comments. I promise I'll respond, and let's go into a dialogue about it. I'm sure there's a lot more we can learn from Adam. And Adam, I'll draw you into those
Be delighted
dialogues
if
if you don't mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that'll be great.
Thank you.